Ghost. One thing everyone believes in one aspect or another, such as spiritual guidance like religion, spiritual possessions, or just straight up hauntings. I, for one, have no idea if I truly believe ghosts are real. Right in front of my house, there is an infamous haunted house. They say that the spirit who resides was a previous house owner who defended their home from a robber, and it ended up killing both of them. Now, the spirit hovers around the windows, surveying the area for any incoming intruders, and you could see the shadow of her through the window at night. I, for one, have seen what they've been talking about prior to finding out, like the haunted story during middle school years. I was in my parents' room while they were away, playing my favorite game at the time, which was Street Fighter Cross Tekken. That game was amazing. Anyways, um, I was near this big window. It's a huge window. Still have it, and that is kind of like behind their bed, which it made me feel uncomfortable because the blinds were always open. I felt like I was being watched. Every so often, I'd take glances at the window and back over and over and over. And as the unease began to gradually rise, that's when I saw it. This figure across the street in the window just standing there. It caused my hairs to kind of stand up as I froze and stared at it for a good 5 minutes. Every time I won a match, I looked back and it was still there. I eventually left the room as my parents came back and they probably wanted to use their TV. And I also probably had work to do. Every other night I looked out to the window I saw the figure in, and only half the time I would see it standing there, and half the time it would just be an empty room. I was gonna go and interview the person who lives there, currently with a friend of mine, but I don't really fuck with little bro no more. He treated his homies like trash after we voiced in his little bridge story, but that's another story for another time. The point is, maybe I could have seen if something was, casting a shadow, or I was just completely tripping. Because you know how little kids' minds are. But it is what it is. The opportunity is over. I checked recently. Now the window the shadow was now has a blind that I can't see through because there's no longer a light in the room. Maybe I could have actually seen what was going on, but it is what it is. Maybe I could have seen if I've just been seeing things. I'm just very unsure. The fact that I saw it and that's actually something other people have seen for a long while, to make a ghost tale about it is very odd, to be honest. We'll never know for certain anymore. Before I go into all this I've gathered to show you all, I want to tell you some questions I have about the ghosts. Why do you have to ask the question, do all dogs go to heaven? Why do we have to question if animals have souls and if they stay around the corporeal realm to haunt us or not? Imagine how haunted a hunter's house would be. You go off and shoot an entire family of deer, don't even leave Bambi breathing. Commit a few crimes of violating the open season. And then your plates and stuff just start flying around the cabinets from anger or soul or whatever the hell it is. It would look like a damn tornado just came into your house. Matter of fact, with the amount of bodies hunters stack up, the whole house better be getting tossed. Either that, or just make friends with your demons. Maybe just chill out with them. Eventually you get them to help you out. Imagine you could bring someone over, you call one of the ghosts, hey, could you pass the salt? And the salt just floats over and puts it onto your food. Speaking of, why do angry spirits of ghosts only kick stuff over? Why wouldn't they use items they throw around to align it into a message for their loved ones or something? Some say the ghosts that stay around are the ones with unfinished business, so maybe they're too enraged or something to see that they could make you do. But that seems like a high minority of ghosts if you think logically, because when you die and you still have your consciousness, I feel like the first thing people would think of is their family. That might just be how I see it personally. Maybe someone would actually be lost in whatever they had to do, that they just forget about everything else, or that the only thing they can pour their mind into. That's all I can really think of to put into a perspective. I think I need to let other people speak about the matter. Clearly, I might not be too knowledgeable in this field to really get a grasp on how to understand the slightest thought. So maybe I should take it to the big screens. That's right, cable television. I know, I know. Most of you have never heard of that in your life, and that's okay. You'll learn when you're older, kiddo. Anyways, I was introduced to the show when I was watching a YouTube video on paranormal activities called Paranormal Home Inspector. In the show, a person will request that their house is inspected by two people and go in with them one at a time. Well, I actually wrote this prior to actually watching the show. So what happens is that two groups actually do go in on their own, and somebody will show the homeowner, like, hey, this is what they think, this is what happened to this person that actually knows, actually inspects homes. This is what happens with what he thinks. What do you think? And this is what happens with the paranormal expert. What do you think? And that's how it really goes. We're going to be looking at the first episode, seeing if it might be able to answer any of my questions. Our story starts in Toronto, Canada, with a home built in 1913. The owner is named Catherine, and she has been renovating the house for over 3 years. Apparently, allegedly, supposedly, some strange activities have been going in her home, so she called up the paranormal home inspectors. The first person that comes to inspect is named Michelle. She goes around and asks her what's wrong, but doesn't actually give a reason to what might be going on, because she's not one of the two groups. She's really just there to relay information. So we're going to hear what Catherine has to say about her home.
Recently, I was home alone and I woke up in the early morning and I could hear water running. I went into the bathroom and my taps in the bathtub were on full blast. The door at the top of the stairs, I would go past the closet door, I'd come downstairs, and then I'd go back upstairs and the closet door would be open. I could hear growling. And my dog sleeps at the foot of my bed, so I thought, oh, it's the dog starting to growl again. And then seconds later, I realized that actually I didn't have the dog in the house that night. I was in the office working, and my dog was at the top of the stairs, growling down the stairs. And then just as he was doing that, I was overcome with a smell. And all of a sudden, we heard this horrific noise upstairs. I had a beautiful fishbowl, and it had exploded everywhere. How the hell did this happen?
Did the cat topple it over?
No,
because
look.
the stand's still there.
And my contractors, while they were renovating the basement, they got locked out.
As far as we've ever been told, there's no key for this deadbolt.
Oh, by the way, this is Fergus, I guess. He doesn't show up at all after this. He's just there. Day 2, they get an actual home inspector named Brian.
After a thorough inspection of the more routine residential trouble areas, Brian is given a detailed list of hotspots documented by Michelle from our homeowner.
So the first thing on our checklist is something about a fishbowl, and that was in the kitchen. There's our fishbowl now.
Oh, that's the fishbowl that broke. Looks like the fishbowl just responds, thank God.
Now that glass is really thin.
A hairline crack.
Hairline crack? What? I tried to look this up. I literally could only see a living thing having a hairline crack. Brian, are you saying that the fish has a hairline crack and blew up the fishbowl? Because that doesn't really make sense.
Lots of water pressure, vibration from the street noise. It's a no-brainer.
I hope he means all of those combined and not just separately, because if vibration from the street noise alone could break the glass, that must have been really cheap glass. And Catherine got scammed, or... Well, actually, yeah, Catherine just got scammed.
So that one is definitely off the list. I was told by Michelle that this
Jesus Christ, Brian, you're one tall man. Make this look like a kid's playhouse.
deadbolt was giving problems and it kept locking on its own.
You slam the door a certain way, that lock will slam shut. It's just a spring-loaded mechanism. That can happen. Absolutely.
All right, let's have a look at the drains. So this helps us just see a little bit further on down. I've seen a lot of things down drains, but I've never seen anything like this.
And putting your uncovered hand in it, just rummaging around, getting deep in there with no second thought. What if it really was something bad down there? And now Brian just contracted a new disease because he just wanted to stick his hand in odd places. Now they say I'm this conspiracy nut. Just look at it though. It doesn't look ghost related, but it looks horrid, unclean, revolting.
It's not what I expected to see at all. There's things down there that are just kind of scary.
This just looks like Catherine had a lot of garbage and hair into the gutter instead of cleaning out like a normal person.
Is there something buried down there?
No.
Was there something buried down there?
Yes.
How are we 100% certain that she's telling the truth here and not just hyping it up for the camera? That line of questioning is a little odd to me.
One of my sons has told me a few times that he's heard voices.
Okay, your son is schizophrenic. I'm not a doctor, but I'm gonna diagnose him with schizophrenia. Either that or his imagination is playing tricks on him. I used to think Freddy Fazbear would be lurking in the darkness of my room because of FNAF 4, so I'd hide under my covers when I went to sleep for years, and that was very bad for me. So your imagination makes you think of stuff that are extremely irrational as a kid.
Paranormal investigator Michelle takes Catherine's list of concerns to the archives, where she begins her research.
This is exactly what I've been looking for.
Please stop with that. I can't take this seriously. If you're going to use stock frightened sound effects, I can download for free. Other than that, I don't understand what she's been looking for. The previous homeowners? Maybe she's trying to see if those guys are the ghosts that are supposedly, allegedly, apparently haunting the private domicile.
Okay, we're gonna go upstairs and have a look at closet door. Right off the top, I can see that our floor is sagged a little bit.
Are you sure the floor is shifted or the door is poorly made? I have a door to my room that's poorly made, so I know what I'm talking about. And maybe I should be a door inspector?
Door at the top of the stairs is an easy one. It's not level to begin with because the floor is shifted, so it naturally wants to open.
Every time you open a front door, doors swing open. Plus, the homeowner has a...
I'm warning you. Stop with the stock sound effects. I can find that one too. Anyways, I know what he's talking about here, because that happens with my two front doors. Finally, something I can agree with. I was thinking this was about to be a dud.
Okay, my notes tell me that in this room, there's a strong smell of mustiness. I got a really good sense of smell, and I don't smell anything in this room.
Someone literally passed gas and she thought, well, that's a sign of a ghost, no doubt.
But there is evidence that we've obviously had a roof leak at one point in time that's been repaired.
There's nothing going on there. I think the homeowner's just smelling things.
Okay, in the bathroom here, our homeowner swears that the taps were mysteriously on in the middle of the night. Now, these reproduction taps outperform the old taps.
Sleepwalking. There's got to be no other explanation.
Did you just diagnose Catherine with sleepwalking? I'm fairly sure you can't do that. I think people would know if their relative sleepwalks or not.
Look at this. They seat just perfectly.
I'm sure that the homeowner probably inadvertently turned them on and went to bed and didn't know that she left them on.
Okay, master bedroom. First of all, there's our culprit, the cat.
Caught you red-handed. How dare you fucking nap in my humble abode without my knowledge. Send him to the gulag.
This is blood. In here, you fight to win back your life. Gates! Let's go!
Now, my list tells me that the homeowner has heard noises in the attic. Now, where we are in the city, it's an area that's notorious for animals getting onto the roof and getting into the attic space. There's probably raccoons trying to get together and make baby raccoons.
Oh, yeah. Definitely raccoons. I stuck my head up in the attic and I saw the evidence. We can see evidence of feces and where the insulation's been disturbed. There's nothing unexplainable or strange in this house. Everything has a plausible explanation. Not uncommon to have these kinds of things happen in a house of this age. It's called character. It has lots of creaks and bumps and grinds. There's nothing wrong with this house at all.
Okay, well, Brian, one thing's for certain, you leave a lot to the imagination. I believe I agree with 2 of 4 things you've said to me, so I suppose there is a 50-50 shot here that the opposing viewpoint could tell me otherwise.
Renowned intuitive healer Nadine Mercy is looking for something Brian can't see.
I'm gonna say off the bat, I don't really like this little seance she's doing. It kind of just looks weird. Not saying I'm open to new things, it just looks like something I'd do in a video game. Like casting a spell.
Nadine has barely walked through the door when she senses a presence.
Okay, Nadine, I already feel like you're full of shit. You immediately sense as soon as you enter the house. You can't do that from outside the house, like just at the doorstep. Be like, man, something feels odd inside this house. You have to step inside, so it's all condensed into the shape of the house.
I have this really heavy presence in my chest. It's almost like I want to breathe, and I'm almost shaky. I'm actually picking up an animal spirit. 2 elderly men.
I'm confused on how she senses the ghosts. Is it by sense of smell? Or people like her spiritual bloodhounds? If I went back to a dead relative's house and it still smells like them, does that mean they're trapped there? This raises a lot more questions. Also, what's the scent of 2 elderly men?
A lady. There's quite a few here, and I'm not
Sorry, I really can't take this seriously because she's powering up like a Dragon Ball character in the middle of someone's living room.
sure why, but they do have messages to give, and they want to know why. Why are you here? And we don't want you here.
It sounds like spirits in houses are always aggressive. So does this really mean that ghosts are only around stuck here because they have unfinished business and that's why they're so rowdy? Because I feel like you'd zen out after a while because you're basically immortal now. You can talk to other ghosts and just chill out in the afterlife watching other people, and there's nothing you can really do about it. So why fight it? Then again, if animal spirits are real, don't you think there'd be more than this number of ghosts around? What the fuck is even a duodecillion? All of our houses would be haunted to the brim. There would not just be 2 ghosts, 4 ghosts in your house. There'd be trillions per second coming and going.
I'm just going to ask everybody to calm down because it's a little bit overwhelming right now. They're basically saying I won't take no for an answer. I won't let you do this to us.
Can't you ask the ghosts who they're talking to or whether whoever they're talking to is dead as well? Maybe that'll help them pass on to whoever they're supposed to be.
They've been here for a long time. Heavy presence in this room. They do congregate here often as the children are very open and neutral. You see, I don't know if you can see the goosebumps. Oh, my arms is just like a shot right through my whole body, and there's a lot of presence in this room right now.
Okay, so scent and something that can occur from being cold, afraid, or excited are how to tell there are ghosts. When do we start powering up like this, though?
They're saying, sing, sing. Talk to me, baby. Soft and low. There you go. It's very quiet down here. They're not speaking to me. They're just watching, observing.
Nadine feels peaceful, positive energy in the new basement.
I guess these ghosts are house connoisseurs. They like rate houses, and if they don't like it, they start causing a ruckus.
But without warning, the mood shifts.
A little bit of heaviness here, and I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if they're coming from Earth source, Earth energy.
There's no way. Earth energy? I understand now. She's an earthbender from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah, I'm breathing really heavy here. I'm trying to pick out which corner it's coming from. I'm starting to shake a bit. Just gonna close my eyes and see if I can't hear a little bit deeper. Why are you here? They keep asking me, why are you here? They're asking me to leave. I want you out of the house. There's something very dark in here. I don't want to be in this room. It's not feeling good. I gotta leave. I don't like that room. That's okay. They just push me right out. I'm gonna leave.
So the ghost can interrupt and sever your connection to the spirit room, so to speak? Why didn't the two elderly men talking nonsense do that?
But after a night of reflection and hoping to further understand the messages she received, Nadine is returning to the house with our research assistant, Ashley.
Well, maybe they might be able to get some answers now that Nadine might have to explain what she's doing to Ashley.
To drive our investigation forward.
I'm hearing the name. I don't know why. I'm hearing the name George. Something to do with George. I feel this fellow is still here, and he's pulling me away from this room in particular, and he guides and protects this.
George. No. Can't be. God damn it. Why is the world so cruel? Why'd they have to take her from me? He was just a little monkey. Always so curious.
Is he protecting a certain person?
Yes.
Who's that person?
Wife.
Just
Jeez, no need for the caveman speech, dude. Calm down. He can't hurt you. Neither can he really push and pull living things for that matter. As we've seen, they can only move inanimate objects. Unless sleepwalking is a ghost possession, then that's the only time they interact directly with people.
do you know when they were here?
They've been here a long time.
Okay.
With the identity of the residents beginning to step out from the shadows, Nadine returns to the site of the most psychic activity.
Absolutely, definitely down in the drain. There's some issues down there.
Is there something buried down there?
No.
Was there something buried down there?
Yes.
Now that they've come full circle, how do you know this, Nadine? Well, actually, it's very broad term of just something, because anything could be buried down there. Something has been dead and buried away in dirt under each and every single house, road, or just land in general. It's just the cycle of life and death for 4 billion years.
Michelle heads back to the house to set up her paranormal investigative gear and spend the night there with a suitably spooked Ashley.
What will you be setting up? Passive infrared sensors?
Most of my ghost hunting knowledge is from Phasmophobia, a game about hunting ghosts that uses the same type of equipment and stuff that usually ghost hunters use, which could include infrared sensors. So I guess we're accurate with the tropes. I never understood it though, because the sensors detect heat and motion, but a ghost is usually very cold, which is probably why Nadine had goosebumps.
These are the vibration sensors hanging on the door there.
All right.
Jiggle the door.
That has to be fake. There's no way you're scared of this alarm. Don't get me wrong. I get scared by those alarm in stores that are wrapped all around the object it's protecting, that I don't really want to touch them in case it goes off, but still, I'm not jumping like this. I'm just getting a little startled.
And now what we'll do is set up the tripods and the video cameras. Basically, the whole point of this is to try to get the spirits to manifest somehow for us, because that's the reason why we're here.
Alone in the house, they listen and they wait.
Do you have something to tell us?
Did you lock out the contractors?
Can you move the lock again for us?
After a series of unanswered questions, Michelle and Ashley finally get a response.
I keep hearing things.
What are you hearing? Do you hear that?
I do?
Can you do it again?
I just heard the running again.
Oh, that was the noise she was hearing. Does she remember that there's a cat in the house? Or that there's possibly that like to mate in the attic? Maybe they could have discussed this with Brian to check out the same places, because Nadine never checked the attic.
What was that?
One of the sensors. Oh, God.
Oh.
I'm convinced the cat ran by the sensor. Enough said about that one. They're not even showing the cat ever since Brian sent him to the gulag.
Let's go upstairs.
It sounded like it was going down
Running through the hallway.
either the hallway or just above us.
There was nothing there. That just went off on its own. Okay, I'm gonna take a measurement over there.
Just gonna go crawl in a hole.
Let's go in the bedroom.
Turn the filter off if you're gonna turn the light on. You don't use night vision goggles in the day for a reason. It hurts your eyes to look at.
That was main floor.
The paranormal activity is clearly heating up in the house, taking an unexpected toll on Ashley.
I'm getting a really bad headache.
Ghosts can now inflict headaches? Our heads would pop like a balloon considering how many ghosts would actually be around.
Are you? You okay?
Yeah, I think I need some fresh air or something.
I just came from upstairs.
Now that I hear the so-called footsteps more, it sounds like the noise of when I tap my streaming mic. I have a family of 4 or 5, if you count the dog. When everyone's walking, it sounds kind of like a stampede. It doesn't sound like footsteps to me.
Ashley, did you leave the house yet? Ashley? Ashley? Here's the info that our multi-platform inspection has come up with.
Wow, it's like dead on.
When Catherine called the paranormal home inspectors, she hoped our combined approaches to residential investigation would shed light on the shadows that hang heavy over her home. After 5 days and 1 night of our multi-platform inspection, our experts have answers. With Ashley's unexplained physical reaction fresh in her mind,
I'm getting a really bad headache.
Michelle is tasked with presenting our final inspection report to our very anxious client.
Here's the info that our multi-platform inspection has come up with. Here's our home inspector, Brian. He's done a thorough investigation. Let's see what he has to say. Brian feels that the musty smell that you have been experiencing.
We've obviously had a roof leak at one point in time that's been repaired.
I hope he's right.
The door at the top of the stairs is a no-brainer. It's definitely not hung square.
I can understand that.
Now, the growling that you heard in the bedroom.
Definitely raccoons.
We can see evidence of feces.
I don't think that's what I heard.
It's absolutely reasonable if you have evidence of raccoons shitting in your attic. Something is living in there, not dead, and trying to contact you about your car extended warranty.
Backdoor lock. With these types of bolts, if you slam the door hard enough, it could lock on its own.
Well, I think my contractor would be happy to hear that.
Taps in the bathroom were mysteriously on. Now, these are reproduction taps. Sleepwalking. There's got to be no other explanation.
As far as I know, I don't sleepwalk.
Okay, so we both disagreed about sleepwalking. You literally cannot sleepwalk and have nobody know about it. but it can develop in adulthood, so it could possibly happen.
And the fishbowl exploding.
Hairline crack, lots of water pressure. There's no doubt that it could blow any time.
I thought of that too.
Why the hell did you buy the bowl if you knew that was a possibility in the first place? What the hell is wrong with you?
Basement drain, well, that's a big problem. There's things down there that are just kind of scary. We need to get a contractor in to have a look at that.
Say something, man. What did you do to that poor drain? You look guilty.
So now let's talk about my overnight inspection. My assistant Ashley and I heard unexplained movements and sounds.
Do you hear that? I do.
The passive infrared sensors went off 3 times.
And I know you do have a cat in your house, and they love to mess with shit, but trust me, this was a ghost.
Oh, God.
Up these stairs. Wow.
My assistant Ashley developed such a headache that she had to leave the building. She never came back, and she has subsequently quit the team.
Ashley quit because of a damn headache? Is that position not something you work towards? Is this her first time?
Well, that doesn't sound very good.
I'm sorry to see her go. We're gonna go to Nadine now.
I'm actually picking up an animal spirit, 2 elderly men, a lady.
4.
4. I've done extensive research into this home and the land surrounding it. This land used to be a native settlement. The house was built by a plumber in 1913. This could explain why you've had odd issues related to the plumbing.
So if my knowledge about ghosts is true, he just so happens to hate plumbing or had unfinished business with the plumbing that he messed it up? I don't understand.
Okay.
Now here's the most interesting bit of history.
I'm hearing the name George, something to do with George. A lady. I'm getting a Joyce or a J.
A couple by the name of George and Joan lived here for 35 years.
How do we know that she didn't search up residents prior? I feel like to fully trust a psychic or whatever she does, you would have to be with them 24/7 during the investigation. I've been recording this for multiple separate days to write the script and have everything settle in to truly understand how she works. She never does any method more than once when assessing the area twice. That is usually what people do when they're making shit up as they go.
It's like dead on.
Nadine believes that those are 2 of the spirits that are dwelling here.
Sounds like more than a coincidence for sure.
I went back into the archives and discovered a very interesting story. In 1916, 3 years after this house was built, 2 boys down the road went missing without a trace.
How did they transform into 2 elderly men? You're telling me that you age as a ghost now? That raises even more questions. Why are there children spirits then in other places? Did they die recently?
They were never found.
Do you think that that has anything to do with what's going on here?
The home's original builder, along with 2 former residents named George and Joan, and the 2 young boys that mysteriously disappeared from the neighborhood, are they the spirits that haunt Catherine's home? If so, why do they remain? That is a question Michelle cannot answer.
Damn it, Michelle. What did I come here for if you're not going to tell me? The show also ends on a cliffhanger. They don't try to communicate with the ghost or even directly interact with it, which is pretty disappointing. I want to see something that does actually interact with the ghost. With a little digging into opposing viewpoints, I was able to find an audio of a woman who actually believes she has interacted directly with the ghost in a way you won't believe when I play it to you. Roll the tape.
And today's last word in business is about selling souls. The New Zealand Herald newspaper has a story today about a woman in the city of Christchurch who found 2 ghosts in her house, she says. One was the spirit of a man who'd lived there during the 1920s, and the other was an obstreperous little girl. The homeowner captured the 2 ghosts in glass vials, she says, subduing them with holy water, and then she put them up for auction online. Last night, the ghosts sold for about $2,000. The seller says she's donating the money to charity. after deducting her exorcist's fee. And that's the business news on Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Steve Inskeep.
And I'm Renee Montaigne.
How the actual fuck do you get $2,000 from just a bottle sprayed with holy water? Holy water. How do you know they're captured? Well, if my theory of how many ghosts are actually about is right, maybe I can try to see if I can capture a ghost with this exact method. I'll be right back.
Alright, fellas. So we went to the back of my house, right? I don't know how to make holy water for this ghost capturing, but we're gonna have to go through with it, right? Bam, right? What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna capture it right in here. Boom. Yes, there's a gold peak. You can't really see it because it's trash. This camera's ass, in the night at least. But what we're gonna do, right? I'm gonna do this. Oh, Heavenly Father, bless this water. Boom, we did it. Boom, it's holy water. Trust me, that's how it works. I did try to look it up. I need holy salt. I have no idea how to make holy salt. So we just gonna go through with it. Boom, right? Hold on, give me a second so I can actually open this water bottle. I've already spilled some of the quote unquote holy water into this on my arm. That's fantastic. Boom, now it's open. Maybe we have some ghosts going in there right now. So what I'm gonna do, I think it worked. I think I'm spraying it with the holy water right now. I'm also just making a mess, but good thing it's water and there's grass out here. So at least I'm feeding the grass. Boom. Another one. I have no idea if it's working. Maybe we already caught it. I feel like I'm making an absolute... God, I feel stupid. Holy shit. But I'm gonna make sure this is all gone before I feel like the job is done. Boom. Maybe we caught it now. The meat. Oh wait. I gotta make sure. Hold on. Got it. Yeah, I think we caught it. Yeah. Maybe I could sell this for $2,000 somehow. Auction off. Holy. Wow, this is dumb. I'm gonna go back inside.
My pop filter came off. Hold on 1 second. But I think this was a bust. I don't really see a ghost. I don't know if you can either. But I think this will be... This will go for $2 million. Let's keep digging around. Something else. But I found something of a team ghost hunting. It's a very short video, but I'm hoping maybe it can change how I see ghosts. Now that we have someone that could possibly interact with them directly on camera.
This is the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. In the mid-1800s up until the 1990s, it was a home for the mentally ill. I hardly need to tell you that the place is haunted.
You do have to tell me that. How else will I believe you if you don't tell me what's going on? I'm not going to believe someone at face value. Are you saying it because of a mental asylum? Come on, dude, that's kind of fucked up.
Well, some people say it is, like Copperhead. You heard me. That's his name, Copperhead.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah, that's the word S and then word R.
Copperhead was one of our guides on a ghost hunting mission, what the asylum calls the 9 to 5 tour, as in PM to AM.
Jesus, wow. That's how long I stay up editing my VODs. Now this, I guess.
So let me give you some background. I don't believe in ghosts at all, but that doesn't mean I don't really want to see one.
I don't believe in ghosts either, so I'm hoping we can come to the same conclusion at the end of this video.
So off I went, trusty iPhone in hand. Also with me, Thomas. He's a Thomas of the non-doubting sort. He really believes in ghosts. Our guides were equipped with special high-tech ghost hunting gear, like this Raggedy Ann doll that supposedly lights up when she senses paranormal activity.
This is the first I've heard of this Raggedy Ann doll trick, I believe. The name sounds familiar though, hold on. Oh, it's because of Annabelle. I kind of forgot about that. Chucky was better, for me at least. Also, they don't go into detail about how the Raggedy Ann doll detects ghosts. It's just, here's the Raggedy Ann. Now believe me, all of this just works. It's not, I'm not kidding.
Because, that's not creepy at all. The other guests spent the night wandering the wards and trying to communicate with the spirit world. But I asked if Thomas and I could break off from the group and sleep in the ward where hundreds of patients went to recover from lobotomies. Thomas took one look around and refused to sleep there.
Thomas, you fucking pussy. You're supposed to be experiencing the ghost stuff, not backing out of it. How are you supposed to be documenting this shit if you're gonna back out of a rich environment such as that?
No sooner did we set up our cots in a different area when things began to get weird.
What was that?
I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything. I did not.
At least according to Thomas. He was hearing things. We realized it was coming from the area that led to the lobotomy room.
Well, Thomas, don't you feel stupid now? You could have seen what was happening instead of just hearing it, but no. You just don't have the nuts. 'Cause you don't got the
nuts like an empty asylum.
I tried to convince Thomas that it was just the sounds of an old building, but it kept happening.
I'm not staying here.
I want to come back.
Finally, it was too much for Thomas. He had had enough. Copperhead took us to investigate the sound. It turned out to be what looked like roofing material on the floor in some forgotten room. Someone, or something, as Thomas and Copperhead believed, had moved it around. I couldn't help feeling like I was in a Scooby-Doo episode, but Thomas, he didn't find it so funny. Yes. He insisted we head for the nearest hotel.
What is it?
Leaving the ghost hunters and the asylum and my chance of finally seeing a ghost behind.
Oh, look at that.
There's nobody in here.
Well, that was the sound.
Are you fucking serious? There's no way you just blue-balled me here. You gave me nothing. There's just movement. And someone could have kicked that over for all we know. I'm losing it. Dude, this is 6 pages of script and nothing has changed my mind on ghosts. Let's just look at another piece. Here's a piece of audio I found which piqued my interest quite a bit just by the title alone. It's called Tsunamis Ghosts Haunt Japanese Earthquake Survivors. Maybe the earth energy from paranormal home inspectors could come into play here?
It's been a little more than 3 years since the biggest earthquake in Japan's history, a quake that caused an unforgettable tsunami that killed some 20,000 people. But the earthquake also had quieter consequences that didn't make headlines. In the London Review of Books, Richard Lloyd Parry investigates a peculiar phenomenon revealed in the aftermath of the storm. His piece is called Ghosts of the Tsunami.
People reported neighbours who died in the tsunami, appearing at their houses and coming and sitting down in puddles of water.
This really sounds a lot like shell shock of some sort. Like how people come back from the army and they hear someone playing Call of Duty or something and they just start to freak out and hallucinate a lot related to the war. Don't get me wrong, this is actually pretty serious. But I don't believe you. I think you're hallucinating.
Parry has lived in Japan for 18 years and has known it to be a mostly secular culture. In global polls, Japan ranks as one of the least religious countries in the world.
But there's a bit more to it than that. I mean, I'd got used to seeing in the homes of friends these little altars you find to the family ancestors. And I'd always assumed they were nothing much more than a quaint piece of interior decoration. But I realised in following the story and returning to the tsunami zone that actually the religion of the ancestors is alive and well and very strong.
Perry's story focuses on one Buddhist priest, Reverend Tayo Kaneda. His temple was 30 miles away from the coastline. Soon after the tsunami, Kaneda had people coming to him with bodies they wanted him to bury. He could sense that they had bottled up their pain, so he lent them a sympathetic ear.
People's grief and loss and anguish came out. And what also came out after a few months was stories of ghosts and hauntings and supernatural events, to an extent that it almost seemed like an epidemic.
Huh. And how were these episodes, these apparitions, connected to the tsunami?
They were mainly ghosts of people who had died in the tsunami.
It doesn't really matter if a lot of people start hallucinating the same thing, because that actually has happened. A friend of mine told me about this drug where multiple people see a dog when they take it, and they start contemplating their life to the dog and seeing someone do that. So I guess I know what I'm talking about in the field of hallucinations.
For a lot of people, it was simply strange and disturbing, or sometimes comforting, dreams.
Oh, so wait, this is a dream? You're confusing me. I thought this was a ghost story. Ghosts can invade your dream now? That's why Thomas didn't want to sleep in the lobotomy area?
About their lost loved ones. Other people who hadn't experienced loss saw spooky figures on the beach. There was one man who hated to go out because he saw eyes of people in puddles. But then Reverend Canada also had a couple of even stranger cases of people who actually seemed to be possessed by spirits of people who died in the tsunami.
One such person is a man named Takeshi Ono. Can you tell us his story?
Yes, Takeshi Ono is not his real name, but he didn't want to be identified by his real name. He was a man, a very nice, ordinary kind of man who lived in the same town as Reverend Canada. The tsunami was miles away. He became aware that it was pretty bad after a week or so, and he decided to go down and have a look, and he drove down to the beach. Was appalled by what he saw there. He'd had no idea the devastation was so bad. But he came back that evening, sat down for dinner with his family, had his tea, a can of beer, and then began rolling around on the ground, making animal noises.
I don't believe you. So now this is demonic possession scams. What the hell, dude? You're taking advantage of shell-shocked survivors, and I don't really feel comfortable with this. I'm moving on. This is no. All right. Last one. Hopefully, we'll finally get some answers. We can end it on a hilariously eye-catching title, and I quote, "He saw the ghost of his racist grandfather, and it led to meaningful healing." Now, either he became racist, or his grandfather possessed him to become racist.
I'm pretty sure I don't believe in ghosts. Now I say pretty sure because there is part of me that doesn't want to rule out the possibility. But I have heard others talk about this period of time after a person dies, when their soul or their spirit hasn't settled into whatever comes next, and that person's essence feels close. I've felt that for sure. Right after my mom died, she was in my dreams a lot, and it all felt so real that I woke up thinking she was alive.
Yeah, I suppose we all have those times where we think something is real, and then we just kind of wake up. Shit sucks, man.
This is John Blake, and he saw a ghost that scared him and then changed him and how he understood his place in the world. John is a longtime reporter for CNN in Atlanta, and he's written a new memoir about growing up as a black kid in West Baltimore in the 1980s, learning painful secrets about his white mother, and yeah, a ghost. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm going to let John start the story.
I'm a young black man growing up in West Baltimore, and I'm growing up in this infamous neighborhood. It's the setting for the HBO series The Wire, and it was also the epicenter for the 2015 violent protests that erupted after a young black man named Freddie Gray died in police custody. So there was tremendous hostility toward white people there, and I grew up knowing that I had this whole white family who rejected me at birth, including my mom, and I wanted nothing to do with me.
You gave us a sense of where you grew up in West Baltimore, but may I ask you for even more specifics? Can you tell me what it smelled like, what it sounded like?
That's a good question. It smelled like sour milk.
I'm gonna skip this part just so I don't lose my fucking dinner.
You could hear people have sex. You know, everybody's business is on the street.
Yeah,
yes,
life.
yes.
Sorry, I skipped past and I heard that, so now you have to as well. Anyways, where was that again? I'm just asking for a friend.
He was a merchant seaman.
Sorry, I'm a fucking 12-year-old in the head. I know anyone else will hear and comment the other type of seaman. A seaman merchant is hilarious.
I glanced over into the corner of my bedroom, and there I saw an elderly white man who was half walking, floating through our bedroom.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you because this is just an audio piece, and I need to see a video proof of this elderly, racist man floating around. Did I mention he was racist?
And he was standing by my dresser. And at first I thought this is a dream. And I rubbed my eyes, but he just kept on staying there. And I just watched and watched.
I can only imagine what he said when he saw a black man in his humble abode. He was just making sure you weren't doing any monkey business, as they say in the racist community. Well, that's a crazy line. Should I keep that in? I'm gonna keep that in.
And when I awakened the next morning, I thought that was a dream. But then I talked to my younger brother, Patrick, and I said, "Did you see somebody last night?" And he said, "Yeah."
He didn't see an apparition of his dead grandfather again. And then decades later, when he was in his 30s, he was married and living in Atlanta. And this time, it was his wife who saw the frightening thing.
I awakened one morning, and when I looked at her eyes were just huge, and she had this look of terror on her face. And I'm like, what's wrong? She said, "I was awakened last night, and I saw this white man standing over the bed, looking down at you with this troubled expression on his face."
Wow. You really hate his skin color.
And I tried to wake you up, and you wouldn't wake up. And at that time, I knew immediately who she was talking about. And I got a picture of my mother's father. And I said, "Was this the man?" She said, "Yes." She said, "Who is that? And who is he to you?" Mm-hmm. And I said, "It's my grandfather."
I still don't believe you. With the videos we've seen, we've never seen an apparition of any sort. Now there's ghosts that can haunt you specifically no matter where you go, when Nadine had to be inside the house to feel the forest spirits roaming around. You and your wife need to be locked up in that haunted asylum.
I mean, it is such
She doesn't believe in me either, I can tell.
a bizarre experience, right? Like if we just assume, okay, let's just assume that it was him.
See? She had to assume, not just believe him at face value. Even the interviewer is like, "You're full of shit, but I'll let you keep yapping." I don't think I can believe this guy one bit anymore after that. After I got a confirmation right there. An actual on-air cap check. My mind hasn't changed one bit on ghosts. I feel like I have more questions and less answers than when I originally came in to talk about this subject. I tried to keep an open mind and bring all the information I had into each source I brought up, but none of them seemed to correlate with each other that much. Everyone is just making shit up on the fly and somehow made a career out of it from gullible idiots. That's how I feel, and that's how I'm signing off. Peace.